Welcome to Total Retail Talks, your podcast channel for retail knowledge.
Hello, and welcome to episode 196 of Total Retail Talks. I'm Joe Keenan, Executive Editor of Total Retail. In this episode, I interview Ryan Babenzien, founder and CEO of GREATS, a luxury sneaker brand. Ryan discusses the digital native brand's entrance into the brick-and-mortar space. This episode was recorded live at Shoptalk in Las Vegas. And now, on to the show. Thanks for joining me, Ryan.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Joe.
So I think a good place to start would be just to briefly tell our audience a little bit about GREATS for those who might not be familiar with the brand.
Yeah, GREATS was the first digitally native footwear brand. We started in men's in 2014, so we'll be 5 June of this year. We've now added women's into our collection, which we started in March of 17. And, it was our belief then that digital, we call it digital native now, what used to be really direct to consumer, because all of our business was direct. But we've now added some retail into the mix, but that's who we are.
So you mentioned the kind of the roots of the brand as a digital native operation. Recently, you've started to move into brick and mortar. Can you talk about kind of the reason for that decision?
Yeah, it was always my belief that we'd have stores, actually. 5 years ago, I thought it would be an omni world, and the retail that was going to be challenged, which is now historical, it was kind of big box, multi-brand retailers. And of course, we saw those atrophy over the last few years. Where I thought the opportunity for a digitally native brand was to have retail, which if you think about the market and who's digitally native, you see quite a few retailers from my peer group, because retail still works, especially for digitally native brands. It's a complementary experience to our bigger store, which is the website. But we make a product that you touch and feel, and you cannot take away the tactile value of going into the store and trying it on. Now, you might not buy it in the store, but you'll know what size fits you, and you'll know what style you like, and you may buy it at home, online, or on your phone. But we opened our first store about a year ago, and prior to that had done a series of pop-ups. But it was always our goal to have retail stores.
Maybe we should talk a little bit about your customer in terms of, you mentioned the kind of the complementary experience of your stores, the kind of the specialization that you offer. What kind of customers are frequenting your stores? Is it kind of the same that you're seeing online? Maybe there's a divergence between the two. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, we are seeing a similar pattern and behavior from our demographic, which is our core demographic is millennial. It's not our only demographic, It just happens to be our biggest one. And then we kind of call them millennial-minded. So people that are discovering brands like GREATS online through social media and other formats. And then, coming into the store to try it on, buying in the store, buying online. But it really is the retail component for us is a complement to the online business. And there's quite a lot of data that we have that in and around a store, whether it's ours or a store we've partnered with like Nordstrom, there is lift in the e-commerce performance within a certain radius of those retail locations.
That's a perfect segue into the next question that I have here. In terms of the markets you've targeted for brick and mortar, and then kind of how your data and research from your online operations are they informing those decisions, and in what ways?
Yeah, that's a great question, and the simple answer is very much so. Go where the fish is, right? I think our ability to target markets very precisely comes from our e-commerce data, where traffic is coming from, where people are buying, where the higher conversions are, in what cities and what states. It really eliminates the guesswork out of where should we build our stores and what's our retail strategy going to be. So that's how we do it.
Okay. So now you've entered the physical space. Obviously, you're collecting more data about your customers in addition to what you already have from online. Can you talk about the customer behavior trends you're seeing as you're evolving really into a true omni-channel brand?
The world is evolving every day faster and faster, and there was this idea 10 years ago that you could build a giant scaled brand online only, and that was the wrong assumption. I think the behavior that we see is discovery and then purchase. Yeah. It's not a click an ad, buy a thing. It's click an ad, learn about brand, learn about product, and then buy a thing. Okay. How you do that, each brand has their different strategy, but the way we market and who we target starts with a mobile device, right? Instagram has become one of the most powerful marketing tools we've ever seen, but that's a discovery tool. That's not a transactional tool. From there, it's up to the brand to educate that interested customer, tell them about the brand, create an efficient and nice experience through that journey, and then hopefully you get to make them a customer. So, retail is one part of that now, but it's there's not one silver bullet and there's not one single channel. You have to make them all work together.
That brings up a good point too. You mentioned you're a 5-year-old brand, and you're in obviously a very old, competitive category, footwear. What are you doing in terms of generating brand awareness? You've talked a little bit about social. Is that kind of your primary way that you're interacting with your customers, to kind of not only generate awareness, but keep kind of that conversation going and ultimately generate loyalty? Is there one channel that's probably been more successful than others for you?
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't say there's one that's more successful than others. We look at it as a holistic market. All of these channels need to work together. Certainly from a discovery standpoint, Instagram has been our biggest, but social media is one of many channels. We're now doing short form television programming on set-top box. So if you go to Hulu, there's a chance you're going to see a GREATS commercial. Podcasts have become one of the greatest drivers of awareness for digitally native brands. Subway ads, which we'll do for the first time this year. Influencers, and it's all of these combined that make it really an effective, efficient marketing spend and strategy. But interesting, we're doing this podcast. Podcast has really become a digital native brand marketing channel. And if you think about who listens to podcasts, right? This millennial audience, really this is their new. It
aligns with your customer base, right?
Right. This is the new radio for this generation. So it makes perfect sense for us to do really well there. If a legacy brand started advertising there, they may not see the same results that we do.
Yeah, makes perfect sense. Let's talk a little bit about the challenges. Obviously, not as much as well laid out plans go. I'm sure there were challenges as you moved into physical retail. Talk about maybe one or two things that maybe not even surprised you. You probably expected that would be challenges. What those were, and then anything in terms of solutions you've put in place to kind of address some of those challenges.
Yeah, well, I spoke about this yesterday. Retail is challenging, even if you've been doing it for 20 years, which we have not. But two of the things that I'd say are, just designing a store that's capital efficient is hard, because you want to create an experience that's interesting and unique, and as a startup, you're cash strapped, right? You just don't have the same budgets that a Nike has. So we designed a space that we could replicate in other spaces that didn't cost us a lot of money but looked really cool. And we spent a lot of time thinking about that, and we worked with a local Brooklyn architect firm called AO5, and we will roll this method out in our other stores. The other part of retail, which is really, really hard, is hiring great talent. Retail jobs are transition roles, right? People go there when they're in school, before they get out of school. It's not a career path for a lot of people. So something we did in 2016, when we had a pop-up, we decided to pay above minimum wage. So we started paying $15 an hour in New York or LA back in 2016. Recently, Amazon announced that, and they got more business news than I ever saw. So, and I applauded Amazon and said, thanks for joining us.
But you're late to the party.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly. But the reason we did that, the challenge I wanted to address was turnover. Hiring really good talent in retail is very, very hard. And my logic was, well, if we pay somebody a little bit more, one, they're going to stay longer. Two, they're going to be happier when they're there. And that's going to give our customer a better experience. That has proven out to be true. And we continue to do it.
And the product that you're selling, obviously, customers that you mentioned, that retail's real, customers want to come in and try shoes, but they also want to, find the associate that can help them find with sizing, and so it's really probably, a critical part to the in-store experience.
Yeah, I mean, the people in the store, the front line of education for a customer that's coming into that store. So they need to be informed, they need to be polite, pleasant, helpful. I can't tell you how many times I've walked into other retailers and had nothing like that experience. Yeah. Just grumpy salespeople that don't know anything about what I'm asking about and are not very helpful, and it's frustrating. And this is an advantage to Greats, where our team is informed on what we do and doesn't have to think about 100 different products in 100 different categories. They know about Greats, the brand, the story, myself, how we started it, why we started it, how we're building a modern luxury brand and offer the best price in an Italian-made luxury sneaker in the world. And that education process, we teach our team to educate, not sell. Yeah. The education is what does the selling. Yeah, and they're invested in the brand.
So my final question, Ryan, is kind of looking forward. You've been on a nice growth trajectory here. What is your focus as you lead the company in terms of continuing that growth? Are there certain areas, whether it be you've mentioned hiring, maybe technology investments, continued growth in the brick-and-mortar space, maybe all of those? What are the things that you're looking at as you want to continue this good story?
We're going to be 5 years old, but we're just getting started. Yeah. So the things you mentioned are all things we're going to do. We're investing in talent. So we're hiring more people this year. We're developing our retail experience. We're going to be a year at retail next month. So we have a long way to go to figure out what is optimal for Greats. The panel I did yesterday, one of my panel mates was from the firm that builds the Apple stores. And he told me off stage that, there was 7 years of development in the Apple Store before you saw the Apple Store. So we have a lot to do. Experience in store powered by technology is something we'll be investing in. But we have a lot to work on. We're far from done.
Well, you've got a good start at least. So I want to take this opportunity to thank Ryan Babenzien of Greats for joining me today at Shoptalk. Thanks, Ryan.
Thanks, Joe. I appreciate it.
Thanks for listening. For more information on this podcast, please check out our podcast channel page at mytotalretail.com/podcasts. Total Retail Talks is available on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, and now on Spotify. Make sure to subscribe on our podcast channel page as well. If you've enjoyed this episode, please take a few moments to rate and review this podcast. Thanks, and until next time, this has been Total Retail Talks.